Okay, B Psych class, we're going to continue with Unit 7. What an appropriate topic to go through right now. Stress. All right, let's see if some stress isn't moving. Here we go. So, stress is essentially the perception and physiological response to certain events, stressors that we perceive as threatening or challenging. It's a state of anxiety that heightens heart rate, breathing, blood pressure, and this can go on for long periods of time, and it's extremely detrimental to our health. Stressors. These are the events that evoke or initiate a stress reaction, and they are subjected to the individual would all trigger the same anxiety-ridden response. So the brain essentially sees the stressor as a threat, engages the sympathetic nervous system, and then you go into what's called flight response, where your body fully alerts and able to deal with threat. This can be useful in an actual threat. It does heighten your physiological state. It's extremely draining and it's very taxing on your health. I would say I'm going to say we're in a catastrophe, correct? I mean, a pandemic, that's not even listed. Um, that's what we're doing right now. It's pretty bad. And I would say these are kind of in the order in which of like detrimental, difficult, extreme, I guess. Right, we're right up there. I can't think of much worse things that can happen, except for obviously losing a loved one, especially during this period. So significant life change. I think this is significant life change. Public speaking, daily hassles, none of that stuff seems that sad now, right? You were so pissed off on the trying to get to school one day, probably you're on the 7 train, someone pushed you, it was loud, it was annoying. You would kill for that right now. Tested essays, social pressures. So we're in a freaking pandemic, man. It doesn't get more stressful than this. And I just want to point out, I think I don't know if I'm overthinking this. So the FRQs will be one that is conceptual and one that is research based. I don't know if the AP people are thinking with me, but if I'm the AP people, I might put a question about what's going on right now. So just throw that out there. If you want to be able to articulate the stress that you're undertaking right now and the different theories here. Just something food for thought. So itself is the highest among young adults. And again, women are usually more stressful or stressed rather because I would say we're a little bit more emotional, we're a little bit more attached, whatever. Okay, so that's what stress and stressors are. So general adaptive theory. So this is the progression of stress. The sequence of physiological responses, it's known as the general adaptation theory. It's your body's response to the stress. There are 3 stages, okay? So there's the alarm reactive stage. This is the stress hormone cortisol and adrenaline increase in the bloodstream as well as spike blood sugar. The alerts and prepares the body to fight or flight in response to a threat. Your heart rate goes up, your breathing, your blood pressure, your energy. I'm in this stage often, I feel like, especially in the first couple of weeks, man. I was having a hard time. My chest hurt. And I remember one of the symptoms of the COVID-19 that they were saying was chest pains. And I was joking with some of my friends. I go, I don't think I have it. I think I'm just having an anxiety attack. I'm stressed. But that tension in your chest, that's your alarm reaction. I was feeling that for weeks. And then there's the resistance. The attempt to return the body to the normal state. During this phase, your body's parasympathetic nervous system, it attempts to resist the impact of the stimulus. Your blood sugar and your blood pressure are heightened, but the hormones return to our favorite place, homeostasis, and they focus on repaired alertness. So your body does try to um, get back to homeostasis. Your heart rate is going, your chest hurts, all that stuff, but it is trying to get you back into that place where you're in your kind of balance and zone. And then this is the exhaustion stage. It's the stage in which your body it failed to cope with the stressor and it continues to focus on the alertness preparation reacting to it. Your body has wasted a lot of focus and energy on reacting to stress, which is why it's so detrimental to your health. I think I'm in this stage now. I mean, it's like a cycle. right? So you keep, we're going to be in all three of these for weeks and weeks and months. Um, and you're going to go in and out of them, but that's why it's so detrimental to your health. Look at what your body's going through as you are dealing with these stressors. So I feel like I was really in that alarm reaction stage. I'm tired now, but I find myself back in the alarm reaction. I'm laughing because it's you laugh or cry, right? So this is the general adaptation theory, and that's the circle that you go into. You react, your body hormones, and try to get back to a state of homeostasis, but man, you're tired by the time you finally calm down and you know getting over it. Which I hate that phrase, but I think you understand what I mean. So men are more prone to social withdrawal and aggression, and then women tend to befriend. They seek support, which is again why people are having such a hard time with this. So men are withdraw socially and are aggressive. Well, that's easy to do right now. If you're someone that wants to seek out emotional support and an outlet and get a hug and talk to your friends, you can't do it, which is making this even more of a stressful situation. And so then the general adaptation syndrome, so that's the prolonged period of stress and engagement to face a threat or threats can lead to your exhaustion and poor behavior, poor health. This was Studies have been done by Hans Sale, and the detriment impacts could be hypertension, heart disease, headache, exhaustion, a depressed immune system, and delayed repair. And that's one of the reasons why you really want to lower your stress levels right now, as best you can, because you don't want to get sick. So you're getting stressed out about being sick, but the more stressed you are, the more prone to being ill you are. So, I think we talked about this in this class. I'm not sure which class it was, of what you do to try to alleviate some stress. I would recommend, if you can, I've talked to some of you that you can't, but go for a walk, wear your mask, stay 6 feet away from people. The sunlight and the fresh air could help. Listen to music, turn the damn news off, right? Read a book, listen to your psych notes. Is that helpful? But anything you could do to lower it, because, you know, focusing on the bulk of one energy for the stressor, it's depriving your immune system of other resources, which it makes sense. So the thoughts and feelings can impact your immune system. Your brain and your physiology can be influenced by thoughts. And just think, if your body is focusing on calming you down, it's not focusing on fighting off whatever it is that you may be, coming down with. Psychoneuroimmunology. I nailed it. So that's that's the process of the thoughts and feelings influencing your immune system. So that's the technical term, right, for the stress making you sick. College Board wants students to understand the basic functions of the immune system. This is the body's defense against infection. So B cells are used to produce and release antibodies. We all know what antibodies are, right? That they fight off the germs, the viruses, etc. And the T cells are the white blood cells that attack the antibody, right? So you have to, if anyone's ever seen the film or the play Rent, it's a lot about folks. It's a lot of things, but many of the characters have AIDS in it. And one thing that happen with folks with HIV and AIDS is that their T cells, their white blood cells, right, are low counted. So when your T cells are low, you're not able to fight off something, a foreign substance, infections, cancer. So that's why folks that we were losing a lot of people from HIV and AIDS to things like pneumonia or other illnesses, because their T cells were low. And then you have the macrophage and natural killer cells. They pursue diseases, cells and cancer cells, and the need for antibodies, chemical attach, right? Okay, this is not my area of expertise. If you want to look more into your immune system, please go ahead and do that. Let's see, I know what the next section is, but can I finish it? Can I do this in 6 minutes? We're going to talk about emotions and see if I can do this in 5.5 minutes. All right. Emotions, they're often misunderstood, right? It's a misunderstood concept. So people use the word emotion and feeling interchangeably. I remember when I taught this and we were like kind of digging it, right? So emotion is the physical, biological response to something, right? So emotions are a physical change. There's brain activity. There's neurotransmitter release. There's hormones released, and it's in a brain scan. Your feeling is the mental association and reaction to the physical emotion. These are your conscious experience of a particular emotion. And unlike emotional reactions, feelings can be hidden, right? So if I'm crying is an emotion. I can't hide crying because you're going to see physical tears going down my face. If I'm sad, which is a feeling, I can cover that up because it's what I'm emotionally feeling, right? It's what's happening emotionally. Then you have a mood, which is the persistence of a particular feeling over a period of time. So if I'm watching a movie where I cry and I feel sad, that doesn't mean that I'm now in a mood of depression or sadness, unless for days later or hours that movie stays with me and now I'm in a mood. So moods are extended feelings basically. There are several theories that attempt to explain emotions and feelings. So James studied the emotional awareness and physiological responses. And then we have Lang, and Lang developed the James Lang theory, which states our experience of emotion is our awareness of our physiological response to emotion arousing stimuli. The body responds emotionally to the stimuli, and then we experience the feeling. So meaning you encounter a bear, right? Is this the example? I'm losing my mind, sorry. You see a bear, your emotional response would occur, which would be to tremble. The adrenaline rush would happen, and then you associate that with fear. Okay, here are the other theories. Then the Cannon-Bard theory, which is your emotion arousing stimulus triggers your physiological response, so that your conscious experience of the emotion occurs at the exact same time that the brain triggers the physical change. So the bear reaction would hold that the trembling and associated experience of fear come simultaneously. So to go back to the last, okay, so the James Lang theory is that first physical response, then emotional feelings response, right? Cannon-Bard says the physical and the psychological response happen at the same time. Then you have Stanley Strasher, nailed his name, believed that the emotions required both a physiological response and a cognitive label for it to even be considered an emotion. So this is the two-factor theory. It's that physical arousal and cognitive label of said arousal. So many emotional arousals are physiological similar, and we must label them different with each emotion and associated feeling. So if your heart is racing and you're breathing erratically, is that fear or love? So in order for us to consider something an emotion, a feeling, yes, something to be considered an emotion, you must label it with a feeling. So if I am chopping onions and my eyes water, I am not sad, right? That makes sense. Because there is an emotional arousal and associated feeling through a phenomenon known as muscle feedback. Muscle feedback effect is the tendency for your muscle states to trigger an emotional response, and then you feel angry, happy, or sad. So if you're in a bad mood and someone laughs and then you laugh, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're happy, right? Um, if someone else is crying and you cry, that doesn't mean that you are sad. You are just, maybe empathy is part of this, but the brain notes in your bodies are acting in a way. All right, I only have 20 seconds. I hope I did that justice. I hope everyone is doing okay. I'm going to end right here. Those are emotions.